Good afternoon. We're here at the Dragon Ridge Country Club, and we have the honor of interviewing Stavros Anthony, who's running for Lieutenant Governor. So thank you so much, Stavros, for taking the opportunity to talk with us. And I would like to begin with first your introduction to our audience, and then I have some questions I'd like to ask you.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Vincent. I appreciate it. I've known you a long time,
yes.
So it's good to be with you. Well, my name's Stavros Anthony. I'm a 29-year veteran of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I retired in 2009 as a police captain. Had a wonderful career. Did lots of assignments during that 29 years. I decided, in between that 29 years, I went back to UNLV, got my master's, and then eventually my PhD. Graduated from the FBI National Academy, the Southern Police Institute Leadership School. Been married for 41 years and have 2 daughters and three grandkids.
Wow. In
2009, I decided to run for the Las Vegas City Council. It was an open seat. There was 6 of us in the race. I ended up winning by 10 votes. So tell everybody, every vote counts. I ran for my 3rd term for the Las Vegas City Council. 4 years later, we received 78% of the vote. And then I ran for my 3rd term and received another 78% of the vote. A couple of years ago, I decided to run for the Clark County Commission. That ended up being a whole election integrity debacle, and I won't go into that now. You can look that up. There's lots of information out there. And then I wanted to continue my public service, and I decided to seek the candidacy for Lieutenant Governor. There were 6 of us in the Republican Party primary. I ended up winning. And all the other 5 that ran were great men. They would have done a great job. I was fortunate to be selected by the Republican Party here in the state of Nevada as their candidate for Lieutenant Governor, and everybody I ran against, every single one of them called me and congratulated me and said they're behind me 100%, and I very much appreciate their support. So here we are, and now I'm running against the Democrat Party, and I'm pretty confident that we're going to have a good win this November.
Well, let's hope so. And what I would like to ask you is to tell our audience, what responsibilities does a lieutenant governor have? What can you do to help our communities be better?
Well, that's a great question, Vincent. Actually, when I was looking at the position of Lieutenant Governor, I actually looked it up. I wanted to find out what specific responsibilities a Lieutenant Governor has, and there are statutory responsibilities for what a Lieutenant Governor does. So first of all, the Lieutenant Governor is the chair of the Tourism Commission. So the Lieutenant Governor is responsible for promoting tourism across the state of Nevada and really working with the private sector to find out what they need from the state to support the tourism industry, and I will be doing that. Second of all, the Lieutenant Governor is the vice chair of the Transportation Commission. So I will be working to make sure that we have a great transportation system here in the state of Nevada so people can safely drive their cars. We can have our trucking industry needs to be able to get around the state and deliver supplies and do it safely and efficiently. So I'm going to make sure we have a great transportation system here in the state of Nevada. Number 3, the Lieutenant Governor is responsible for the Small Business Advocacy Department. So it'll be my responsibility to make sure that the state of Nevada is supporting small businesses primarily by doing, reducing taxes, fees, licensing requirements, regulations on small businesses. If we can reduce those things, then small businesses can open and grow and prosper and really find out what's getting in the way of small businesses so they can open and grow and prosper. That will be a big responsibility. Fourth, the Lieutenant Governor is responsible for Homeland Security, so I'll be using my 29 years experience with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department to travel the state and talk to sheriffs and police chiefs and anyone in the public safety sector to make sure that they have what they need from the state of Nevada to protect their communities. And then finally, the Lieutenant Governor is President of the Senate during the legislative session. So I will actually be presiding over the Senate during the legislative session, and I will promote constitutional conservative values in the Senate, including protecting our Second Amendment rights, making sure we have election integrity, promoting support for small businesses, and making sure that we have educational freedom and school choice for our parents here in the state of Nevada. So those are some of the things that I will be supporting during the legislative session. So that's basically what a lieutenant governor does. It's I'm going to consider it a full-time job, and it'll be my responsibility to travel the state, to go out to all four corners of the state and talk to folks about tourism, transportation, small businesses, and homeland security.
Well, I can see. I mean, you definitely have a lot on your plate. And you mentioned small business, and I'll just bring this up because one of my students that I'm teaching just opened his own company. And, well, this is his second company. And he was shocked because his business license was $400. It's about 50% more than it was last year. This is something you can control, because I think as a business person myself, you know, you want to cut your costs so you can make a decent living. And if we make it difficult, if you have to jump through hoops to get licenses and this, it's kind of a deterrent.
You know, that's a great example of something that I'm interested in doing. So I found out about that from somebody else. So I started to think, to open up a business in the state of Nevada, you're going to be opening up in a city or in a county. So if you're in the county, you have to get a county business license. If you're in a city, you have to get a city business license. So why do you have to get a state business license? There's no point to it. If the state wants information about a business, they can call up a city or county and get it. So that's one thing. If that $400 is just to generate revenue for the general fund, I'm going to try to do away with it. I want your friend to have that $400 in his pocket to put into his business, not give it to the state of Nevada. So that's one of the things I'm going to be looking at, is doing away with the fee and even the state license to make it easier for people to open up a business. So that's a perfect example.
One thing I understand that you can get a business license in the state of Nevada, but then you might have to get one also for Clark County. Why is that?
That's what I'm going to find out.
And I mean, I know when I lived in New York and I opened my business, I got one license. It was good for the entire state.
That's correct. Yep. So that's what we're going to be looking at. In fact, when I was on the Las Vegas City Council, we had when I first came on, I found out we had duplicate licenses at the city. I sponsored an ordinance that cut the number of business licenses by 50%, and people were very thankful for that, because then they could spend their money on money on the business.
Because making it easy for business to open, business is the source of revenue for the city and for the state. So why make it difficult for them?
Right. I tell everybody that government doesn't create jobs. Government has to create the environment.
Right.
So businesses can create jobs. That's how it's supposed to work.
And you mentioned about Homeland Security. So I'd like to ask you, I know a while back, I think in North Vegas, they arrested some members of MS-13. How can we prevent these type of gangs from entering our city and our state? Well,
you bring up MS-13 specifically. We need to secure the border. MS-13 is a gang that comes into the United States south of the border. So we need to secure the border. And today, the border is not secure. So we're getting gang members, cartel gang members, coming across the border, and the Biden administration is doing absolutely nothing about it. And this is going to cause chaos in our communities. I think they've let in almost 5 million people during his presidency, and I'll guarantee you there were terrorists in there. There were MS-13 gang members. So securing our border is extremely important, to not let in these gang members south of the border. So that's something that the federal government has to do, and I'll be pushing that as Lieutenant Governor.
So besides securing the border, we know that needs to happen. How are you going to secure Nevada?
Well, the Democrat Party wants to defund the police. The Democrat Party is soft on crime. They want to pass legislation that helps, that supports criminals and not the victims of crimes. I'm going to do the opposite. As Lieutenant Governor, my Homeland Security responsibility is I'm going to make sure that our police departments are funded, they have the best training, they have the best equipment, that they're out there recruiting the best people, and I want the state of Nevada to help them. And then we need to pass legislation, and as President of the Senate, I'm going to support being tougher on habitual criminals. When somebody commits a crime 15 times and they're still out on the street committing crimes, the Democratic Party supports that. I will not. So I want to get our support for our police departments, and I want to get tougher on these criminals so they're not preying on victims.
Yes.
And I'll do that as Lieutenant Governor.
I'm smiling because I'm glad I'm out of New York, because New York believes in catch and release,
Yes.
catch and release, and these criminals are back on the street.
Yep.
So I think you have some good values and want to put this state back on track again. So I wish you well. I hope everything goes well for you in the election, and hopefully many people will watch our YouTube page and know who you are and what you're about. It's important to find out not just the candidate's name, but what the candidate is about, what they believe in, and what they're going to do to take care of us. And the most important thing, like Stavros Anthony said in the beginning, is you need to get out and vote. I don't care what party you're from. This is an American right. This is your privilege as an American citizen to get out and vote. If you don't vote, don't complain.
Well, thanks for having me, Vincent, and I'll close by saying I'm the only candidate running for Lieutenant Governor that has experience in tourism, transportation, supporting small businesses, and Homeland Security. And if you'd like to contact me, again, my name's Stavros Anthony. My website is Stavros for Nevada, FOR Nevada.com. My cell phone is 702-812-0123. And my email is Stavros Anthony, Stavros Anthony, at gmail.com. So please contact me. Thank you for putting that up, Vincent. That's me. If you'd like a yard sign, or if you can make a campaign contribution, I'd appreciate it. But as Vincent said, your vote is the most important thing. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to see you again.
Yep.
Good luck.